Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and it's time to talk Rise of Skywalker. Now, before I do, it's important we set some parameters. I am not a fan of Last Jedi. I'm just not. Do I hate Rian Johnson and think he destroyed Star Wars? No, I don't. I'm not that big of a Star Wars fan to care that much. I'm a fan of the original trilogy, not a fan of the prequels. About 50-50 of a Star Wars fan. I hope it gets better. I like The Mandalorian a lot. I hear the new video game's really great. Look, I'm not going to ever write off Star Wars. There's too much, it's too big of a universe to write it off completely. But am I frustrated in the direction they're going? Absolutely. Do I hope JJ can come back and hit the landing and actually deliver some cool Star Wars moments that we've been craving? Yes. And so I want to go into this movie open-minded. I refuse to go in hating Lucasfilm and saying they can't do this and all that drama. So I'm going in open-minded. I hope you are too. If you're not, you may not like my video because I'm going to read an article here from Entertainment where JJ and the cast drop some quotes, and I'm going to read between the lines, sort of explain why I think this is all promising. Now, this could all be just a game to distract us, and the movie could suck completely. But let's go in open-minded, shall we? I mean, let's go in. We all want to be like Eric Butts, who reacts to those movies so passionately and emotionally. I wish I could see every movie with that kind of energy. I don't want to make fun of him. He was an amazing, nice guy. Came on last week's Nerd Wars. I wish we could see all movies like that. But the honest trailer cynic in me has gone for years. It's slowly becoming a little bit more open to just being enjoying the screen versus overly criticizing everything. But I think we all have a tendency now in this day and age to sort of be overly critical and emotional about it. Let's go in open-minded. It could still disappoint us. Absolutely. The odds are so sadly in that favor because I think Last Jedi queued up a lot of things that just didn't make sense. Force Awakens was okay. I could tolerate that if Last Jedi just lifted it up, and they didn't. They took 2 steps backwards. So JJ's got a lot of heat on him. And so the fact that he's owning it, the fact that he came back, I think that takes guts. So I'm going to applaud the guy and give him a shot. And in this interview with Entertainment Weekly, he does drop some tidbits about the film and obviously doesn't reveal too much, but also sort of just between the lines, I can get some information. So let's get straight to it. He goes, first off, he says, look, we always knew we were going to have 3 fewer months to post-production this film, says Abrams, who took over co-writing and directing duties of the movie 2 years after successfully rebooting the franchise. So much is still being worked on. It's literally a practical race to get it finished. Despite that worry, it sounds like this interview happened in late October. He was rechecked in November and told the reporter that he feels infinitely better at this very late stage about Rise of Skywalker than he was about Force Awakens. Now, he also goes on to say, we had more reshoots on Episode 7 than this one, Abrams said. We had more story adjustments on Episode 7 than this one. We didn't know if these characters would work, if the actors would be able to carry a Star Wars movie. There was a lot of things we didn't know. On this, we knew who and what worked, and everyone is doing the best work I've seen anyone do. But the ambition of this movie is far greater than Force Awakens. What we set out to do was far more challenging. Everything is exponentially larger on this one. Exponentially, I can't say certain words. I guess I'm dyslexic with certain words. Exponentially larger in this. All right, you can make fun of me there. Anyway, let's break that down first because this is an interesting quote. One, he is admitting something we've gone on record to say. There's a little bit of drama on some of the online channels about whose sources are better than whose. Look, it's not about whose sources are better. It's just like I've heard there are people out there who get anonymous email sources. That's what they've said. I know Louis Leckett, Nerd Report, who came on the show to talk about test screenings and Lucas's cut and all that stuff being massive reshoots. All of that is not true. He came in and debunked it, and he did and he told me who his source is, and I can't share with you. The source can't be revealed because the source is clearly involved. So what can you take that as you will? It's not an anonymous email source, which the other person says it came from, who now is also saying it might have been a hoax to make him look bad. So, I mean, it just sometimes when people want to put their name out there, and Lewis, who's a real journalist who does this for a living, you can call him a shill all you want, but he's not. He's always honest about these movies. He and his source, who I know, are legit, and they've completely said that it's total BS, that they did test screenings, George Lucas has a cut. Dude, this quote should seal the deal on all of it because he's admitting that they didn't have time to do 3 different cuts and have George Lucas come in and change the post. They're trying to just get the movie done. And in order to do that, they had to go into production tight. They had to know exactly what they're doing. Obviously they did some minor reshoots, it sounds like, but not nearly the scope that everyone's sort of saying there are. And he's even admitting we had more reshoots in episode 7 than this one. Every movie does some reshoots. You have to. But the scale of which, I knew that was all red flags when I read it. And George Lucas coming in, guys, no, he's not getting paid to do that. That makes no sense. You have any this movie would need to be in the can months ago for that to even been a case, and it's not nearly. All that post takes forever to get done. Some of these characters are full CGI characters, etc. You can't just like flip that on a month before release. It doesn't work. So he's admitting all that. So the fact though that he's sort of saying that he went in with sort of a concept that he feels better about that at this stage than he did at Force Awakens. That's encouraging. Okay, because Force Awakens was a huge lift. Now he's coming in with still another large task to sort of please all the fans. But the fact that he's feeling better, look, I want him to feel confident. I hope somebody does. I want someone to have a vision and stick to it. And the fact that he is, and the fact that he's sort of admitting that, and the fact that he's sort of admitting we didn't know if these characters would work, if the actors would be able to carry a movie. There were a lot of things they didn't know. And now we know what's worked, and everyone's doing the best work they've done. Great. Everything's bigger on this. It's a far greater than Force Awakens. All good sound bites. We'll see what happens, but there we go. Then they talk about the trailers, and obviously some of the shots are great. But then Abrams admits that the fans still don't really know anything about the movie. The trailers that have come out are scratching the surface of what the movie is. And so then they asked again, are there major sequences that I've yet to see any footage? And Abrams replies with a firm yes, and then goes silent. Abrams is so good at not delivering spoilers. He never does it. But now let's get into some cast comments. So John Boyega says his first reaction to the script was that he'd read it 6 more times because there was so much information in there. So I like the fact that they are going to finally reveal things and stuff's going to happen because there's still a lot of stuff we got to figure out. And they're going to clarify a little bit more of what some of that stuff is. The movie apparently takes place where Finn, and we got to remember it's a year since Last Jedi, which is smart because that allowed everyone to sort of train. Rey has gotten better at using the Force. Poe has become a better pilot. Finn has become a better fighter. So all of the sort of Mary Sue complaints, it's just smart to fast forward a year because now it's like, oh yeah, during that year they learned. So smart. And apparently the movie is about Poe and Finn going out by General Leia to find allies throughout the galaxy, but so far haven't had any luck. They're trying to put band-aids on this leaking ship of the Resistance because apparently it's been decimated by the First Order, which we sort of saw obviously at the end of the movie, but that's continuing the year later. The mission leads to Finn, Poe, and Rey to finally work together, which the Arthur even points is weird that they've still never done that. We're not just a ragtag group of people who have been thrown together. We've actually had time to train. There are some really great sequences with the 3 of us infiltrating spaces. All right, I'm into that. Sounds like A New Hope. Hopefully it's not the same rip-off stuff, but let's see the characters they've bet all of it on to like be together. Both Isaac and Boyega said that their character wishes granted for the final film. Got their character wishes. Isaac wanted Poe to get out of the cockpit and get into the group. Amen. Let's see him. I'm a cool pilot. That's all I do. While Boyega wanted Finn to become more capable soldier and not, as the actor candidly put it, as a comedic, goofy dude who never gets stuff done. I mean, bravo. He called it out. When the actor himself's calling it out, you've had some issues. So good for him for noticing and good for him to sort of step up and admit that they needed to fix that. I definitely wanted more after episode 8. Boyega says Rise of Skywalker makes Finn's episode 8 arc make more sense. We got to bring out a side of Finn we haven't seen. Good. And then to help apparently spark the chemistry on set, he had them improvise. JJ came back with a new energy and a new vibe. He wanted dialogue to be messy and natural and got all of that. That got us all very excited. Excuse me. I think it really captures the spirit of the original trilogy. On top of the fact that Rey has... Excuse me, actor catches himself before revealing too much. Rey has what? Rey is driving her own thing, Ridley says. She's not doing what other people are telling her to do. So there you go. She's trying to make her own thing. Oh, something in my throat. So that's interesting to hear that they're giving her. Let's see what she means. We last saw Rey mourning the death of her mentor, Luke, who returns in the film. Everyone's sort of speculating as a Force ghost, played once again by Mark Hamill. There you go. Turn that down. And shutting the door of Kylo's power-mad seduction attempts. I have skills that have developed, but confident isn't a word I'd use to describe it, she says. She's definitely more in control of everything and can do fun new stuff, i.e., Force. But she's vulnerable and a little insecure about it. So there we go. So now she's at least we're going to justify why she has all of these powers. And then she's had to take time to learn them. I think they would have been better suited to do that after Force Awakens to justify some of it in Part 2. But that's good to hear that, again, they're noticing the complaints. They're trying to adjust some of those things, clearly admitting Last Jedi wasn't a perfect film and that JJ's trying to make adjustments. I mean, they're not going to flat out say that, but read between the lines. So yes, apparently she will use more Force powers. Abrams hints the scavenger who is desperate and haggling for portions and trying to survive in Force Awakens. Those special skills and that special experience ends up being something that is essential to saving the galaxy. Look what he did there. Everything he's saying is talking about, everything we did in Force Awakens had a point. We're connecting it. He's not talking Last Jedi. They don't like it. It's clear. It's clear they don't like The Last Jedi. Everyone's frustrated because they know the fans are frustrated. And everyone who liked it, good for you. You're allowed to. But it didn't hit the mark for a lot of fans, and that was a failure on Star Wars' part, and they know it. So apparently Ridley trained in kickboxing for this final chapter, but says the emotional toll was more difficult than any combat. It's a heavy story for Rey. There were days where I literally I can't do this. I'm so tired. I don't know if I can reach that emotion again. Part of Rey's journey involves solving the mystery of her identity. And while Kylo Ray revealed that Rey's parents are deceased nobodies, the line just didn't really set. It's clearly many fans called this out. The parent thing is not satisfied for her or for the audience. Ridley says that's something she's still trying to figure out. Where does she come from? So again, doesn't mean she's a Skywalker, but it means they're not just going to throw away as junk traders and she means nothing. It's unclear if Abrams made a course correction from Rian Johnson or if that was always sort of the plan. Either way, it's not that she doesn't believe it, talking about that scene that Rilo says they're junk traders. It's not that she doesn't believe it, Ridley says carefully, but she feels there's more to the story, and she needs to figure out what comes before so she can figure out what to do next. Okay, some more new photos. And then obviously we talk about Kylo Ren and her relationship with that. Kylo has grown beyond being a petulant teenager, and Driver says Kylo's killing of Supreme Leader Snoke was kind of a birth moment for him. He had all these pseudo-father figures that he had to either live up to or literally kill to become his own person for the first time. And then he talks about his relationship with Rey. Abrams says he sees the duo as two sides of the same coin, noting even when they're not together, they still haunt each other in a way. They know they are each other's unresolved business. For his part, Driver rejects labels of a Rey-Kylo Ren relationship. I don't think it's all one thing. Part of the fun of playing it is the boundaries of it keeping changing. At times, it's more intimate. Sometimes less intimate. Sometimes it's codependent, and then it's obviously adversarial. So that's interesting. So they're not admitting it's a relationship. It feels more like a sort of like Luke and Leia, brother sister. But I don't know. We don't know what their relationship is. But I hope they don't end up together. I don't think they should. And he talks about why Abrams then talks about why he showcases these sort of original relics of the trilogy. Felt like going into the haunted house, the place that you have to go to. This is a story of people having to grapple with the burden of the prior generation dumping on those that follow. So literally returning to this wreck of the past and having to fight it out felt like an obvious metaphor, but also felt incredibly cinematic. It's kind of defining his job as Last Jedi, following the Last Jedi, as following the wreckage, the burden of the prior generation and dump on those that follow. He's coming after that, look, the fans are going to neuter me. There's something to that quote too, where you can just sort of tell. Beyond just being cinematic, he's making a point there of see, the Star Wars is in shambles. We're going to stand on it and make it anew again. So that's all JJ's doing. And then they talk about Carrie Fisher and how she died and the challenges of getting those scenes. And saying Leia had passed away or that she was somewhere off felt like a cheat. Then I remembered we had these scenes that we hadn't used for episode 7. It was like finding these impossible answers to the impossible question. Suddenly we had classic Carrie in these amazing moments. So when you see her in the movie, it's her. She's there. It's not like some crazy digital trickery. She's just in the movie. That's also very great to hear. I'm still fascinated how they had a bunch of scenes that one scene, how much of her is really going to factor into the plot. So that I'm fascinated to see how they do that. That'll be telling. And then they talk about Billy D. Williams, and he sort of shares that the whole Star Wars experience feels like it never goes away. It's always there. There are all these things that have happened in Lando's life that he got to resolve. He also talks about how everyone always gets him mad because he betrayed Han. fans still bug Billy D about that. And then there's C-3PO. Where he's talking about the last look of his friends. I have a theory on this that someone shared this on Instagram, and I want to share it with you guys. 3PO is essentially to a movie's plot for the first time since New Hope, but apparently Ridley and C-3PO, Rey and C-3PO have more time together than any other character. In previous recent movies, 3PO has just been kind of window dressing, something on the mantelpiece. You polish it, and dust it off when the guests are coming, says Anthony Daniels. JJ and Chris came up with this aspect of 3PO we had not seen before that's remarkably clever. They go down deep into ancient Star Wars and came up with something refreshingly new. So look, I think this is key. Spoiler potential. I mean, who knows? But it was my friend Chris said this. I think I agree with him. And to further it, when he's saying like, "Oh, I need to say goodbye to my friends," he's seeing Luke and everybody. They're going back in his memory. They're going back to retrieve things. And if they use that as sort of a time travel device and allow us to sort of midway through the movie show us other scenes that we never, or things that never got to happen, that allow it to sort of then, we're watching it through the eyes of C-3PO and he gets to sort of go there. That's pretty cool. That would be very clever. I don't know what exactly they'd show or what they do, but that's thinking a cool idea and using 3PO to give him a finale at the end because he's been there the whole time. What a perfect way to sort of use that from the prequels on. He's been there. So it's like, well, hello, he's a computer, right? Let's go through cyborg human relations. What happened? Was he in some of the meetings with the Emperor, etc.? What can we learn? We have a secret robot here that has been recording everything of the generations. Let's use it. That gets me excited. So it does. So that idea, if that happens, of course, it could be something dumb and then it's off. But maybe the red eyes is him sort of in that trance, right, of going back in time. So that gets me excited. They also talk about Kerry Russell is excited to be in the club. For a shy person, this is my ultimate dream job. I get to be in Star Wars and my face is covered. I can see everyone and no one can see me, though now I have giant throbbing neck muscles like Mr. T. She doesn't really reveal much, but that's fun. But she's apparently involved in some intimate, sketchy stuff. Her character is Zoria Bliss. And then there's Naomi Aki, who's playing Janna, a bow and arrow wielding warrior, rides a horse-like creature. She's like, real animals were used on set. Until you've ridden a horse dressed up like an exotic alien across the surface of the Death Star, you haven't really lived. I was gobsmacked. Every day you're grappling with the fact that every choice you make in a small moment is going to be broadcast to the entire world. Yeah, I mean, you don't really think about it. They're literally, 100 people just sitting there in a desert shooting a dumb little scene seemingly, but then it's Star Wars. She's right. That must blow your mind. This is the last thing here is Abrams insists this will not set up a future story. He's not leaving loose ends for Disney to hang another trilogy on. He wants it over. It's a very good, and Anthony Daniels, it's a very good ending, and a good ending feels right. So interesting. What's that going to mean? What are they going to keep doing? Abrams declared later at one point during the interview, the stakes are all or nothing with this film. He was referring to a high stakes storyline, but the same could be said about the franchise. They are correct. And obviously they talk about Palpatine, which is the most closely guarded secret of the film. How is he back? This has been a very long chess match that's been played between Jedi and Sith all the way back to the very beginning, Isaac teases. It's an amazing thing to see that really come to the forefront. And then the reporter, good on them, sort of puts Abrams' feet to the fire. He says, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi said in Empire that he cannot interfere with Luke's fight with Vader. But in Last Jedi, Yoda suddenly called down a lightning strike. What can Force ghosts do and do not in our world? Because obviously we're talking about, will there be Anakin, Luke, all these Force Jedi's coming back? Abrams' reply to the question is pretty much what you expect. That's probably best answered by not answering it. So, look, there's going to be some problems with this movie, clearly. There's going to be something. It's also going to be potentially fan service. It's like Endgame. Did you like that they went back in time and gave you some fan service and then gave you that amazing ending, or did it all feel forced and stupid? Look, sometimes the payoff is worth it. Sometimes it's not. I'm going to go in open-minded. I'm giving JJ the benefit of the doubt. I hope he finds the right ending to this. The C-3PO thing is just one idea. It's like if they can find some cool thing like that to get us excited about and reinvent sort of the movie and surprise us. If it's not what people think, if those leaked endings are wrong and that was a misdirect, that'd be so fun. That'd be so fun to have everyone sort of turn and go, yeah, that was pretty fun. I enjoyed that. Isn't that what we all want? Can you go into this movie if you hated Last Jedi? I'm asking you this direct. If you hated Last Jedi, hit me up, Twitter, here in the comments. You hated Last Jedi. Are you even capable to go into this movie, to let the hate out, to let the anger, the fear, the dark side, to let it out and sit in that theater for one more time as the da comes on and the scroll, and you realize, man, this is only the 9th time I get to do this. And then maybe it'll happen again. It probably will someday, but it's not going to be for a while, judging how Disney Star Wars is going. But can we all just sort of sit in that theater one more time, open-minded as kids again, and just sort of be like, all right, come on, deliver something cool, and just try to enjoy it. And then when it's over, we'll all comment and be whatever. But let's try and at least, let's not taint that first moment of allowing people to have that enjoyment in the theater when the John Williams score comes on. And it's going to be his last score. I believe it's going to be awesome. There are going to be moments of this that are going to be worth it. Let's go in positive. What do you say? Can we do it? I hope we can do it. I hope they don't let us down. I'm sure they're going to let us down in certain ways, and we'll come back to break it all down, of course. But let's at least try and have a happy moment walking in the theater. Are you guys seen it? I already got my ticket, of course. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Looking forward to your feedback. And don't forget Nerd Wars tonight. We're talking Snyder Cut, Justice League. Oof, it's going to get intense. So come back 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tuesday, Thursdays, all night live, every time. And thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Bye, everybody.